أعزائي طلاب وطالبات الصف الخامس الابتدائي، أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من مادة العلوم باللغة الإنجليزية تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. Welcome dear student. In this episode we will learn lesson number 2 in the third unit, which called environmental balance. So let's get started. What do you notice in this image? Who can tell me? What is the component of this image? First, it is a natural area. It is a natural area which contains some living organism such as fox, deer, bear, and some plants. So it's a natural area, maybe it's a forest, and it contains many things. Many living things and many non-living things. Living things, we call them living organisms. Living organisms, we studied them before, like plants, they are producers. Animals depend on plant directly, called herbivorous animal. Animal depend on plant indirectly, we call them, yes, carnivorous animals. So now, or in this lesson, we will study the relation between living organism and the environment. So it's a natural area containing some living organism and some non-living things such as air, soil, water. يبقى الحاجة اللي قدامنا دي عبارة عن ايه؟ مكان طبيعي، منطقة طبيعية زي الغابة فيها كائنات حية وفيها أشياء غير حية. كائنات حية ممكن يكونوا نباتات، حاجات بتعمل photosynthesis process، و animals ممكن animals بيعتمدوا على النبات directly بشكل مباشر زي herbivorous animals. herbivorous animal نباتات عاشبة بتاكل أعشابه بس. carnivorous animals they depend on plant indirectly. الكائنات اللي زي الأسد اللي مش بتاكل أصلا نباتات لكن بتعتمد عليها ليه؟ علشان هي أصلا بتاكل living organism تاني، حيوان تاني اللي هو بيعتمد directly on plants. So the natural area which contain living organism and non-living things called ecosystem. So what is ecosystem? We have here three images for ecosystem. Ecosystem, any natural area. So the definition of ecosystem will be ecosystem, it is any natural area including living organism such as plant, animals, and non-living things such as water, soil, and air. يبقى ecosystem بالعربي يعني النظام البيئي. النظام البيئي ده عبارة عن ايه؟ أي منطقة طبيعية فيها ايه؟ فيها living organism، كائنات حية. زي ايه الكائنات الحية؟ كائنات الحية زي plants and animals. وأشياء غير حية like air، الهواء، water and soil، والماء والتربة. كلها دي مكونات هي اللي بتعمل النظام البيئي. ودلوقتي في الدرس ده احنا هندرس النظام البيئي بتفاصيل أكتر. هندرس العلاقة بين مكوناته، هندرس ايه اللي يحصل لو احنا شلنا مكون منه، هندرس تغيرات حصلت وعملت حاجات كتير كانت مضرة للنظام البيئي. تعالوا نكمل. Component of ecosystem. First, component of ecosystem could be producer, consumer, like herbivorous and carnivorous animals, and decomposers. All of them are components of ecosystem, living components, and non-living things like water, soil, and air. So first, living organism as plants and fungi. Number 3, algae. So plants, fungi, algae, and animals, they are the living components or living organism that is one of the component of ecosystem. One type, the living type. الجزء الحي في الايكوسيستم اسمه living organism زي البلانتس نباتات، fungi, algae, and animals. Second, non-living things. Non-living things such as air, soil, water. So air, soil, and water are non-living things. So classification of ecosystem. نقدر نقسم الايكو سيستم على اساس الحجم، ممكن نقسمه على اي اساس تاني، بس دلوقتي في المنهج بتاعنا احنا هندرس التقسيم الايكو سيستم according to its size. So ecosystem classified according to their sizes into number 1, small ecosystem like land, like water pond, very small. Some living organism like fish live in this pond, so it is a very small size ecosystem. Number 2, large ecosystem as forest, desert, and ocean. They are large ecosystems. The last one, very large ecosystem. Very large ecosystem like the universe. The universe represent ecosystem which is very large. يبقى كده نقول النظام البيئي عبارة عن 3 أنظمة بيئية ممكن يكونوا على أساس الحجم. نظام بيئي صغير زي ووتر بوند اللي هي بركة مية. نظام بيئي كبير حجمه كبير زي فورست غابة، ديزرت صحراء. أو very large نظام بيئي كبير جدا 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 زي اليونيفرس أو الكون كله. الكون يعتبر نظام بيئي ليه؟ مش الكون فيه كواكب زي the planet Earth, and the planet Earth contain living organism, so it is ecosystem, and it is very large ecosystem. The relation between components of ecosystem. Component of ecosystem, living organism, and non-living things, we have to study the relation between each component. And we studied before some of them, the relation between producers and consumers. So let's study them. So let's explain the relation between the different components of ecosystem. So let's start with a non-living component of ecosystem which is called soil. Soil is a non-living component of ecosystem. In soil grow some plants. So here green plants. And we call them, who remember, green plants are called producer or consumers. They are producers, perfect. So green plants are producers, and green plant, some other living organism depend on green plant in feeding, such as deer, perfect. So deer, who know the deer, herbivorous animal or carnivorous animal? Yes, deer depend on plant directly. That's why it is super herbivorous animal. It is herbivorous. So after that, another living organism depend on deer or depend on plants, but indirectly. Indirectly like what? Like lion. So the lion depend on plant indirectly. So it is called not herbivorous animal, it is carnivorous animal, perfect. It is carnivorous animals. After that, if the lion died, so what will happen to the lion? Another living organism will feed on the dead body, which called, who know? Decomposers, perfect. So decomposers depend on the dead body to get food, to get their food, perfect. So decomposer will do what? Who know? Yes, decomposer will do something very special, which is break the dead body into very small parts. decomposing this dead body and recycle the chemical element into the soil again. So green plants, herbivorous like deer, carnivorous like lion, decomposer and back to the soil again. الحلقة دي كلها بتعبر عن ايه؟ بتعبر عن ان الطاقة بتتنقل من ايه؟ من الجرين بلانت لحاجة بتعتمد على الجرين بلانت اسمها دير او اي حاجة herbivorous. اي حاجة ممكن يكون ايه؟ احنا خدنا examples كتيرة غير الدير. rabbit برضو depend on plant directly. cows depend on plant directly. sheep depend on plant directly. and another living organism depend on plant also indirectly بيعتمد على النبات بس بصورة غير مباشرة. وبعد كده في النهاية خالص يجي حاجة اسمها decomposer، الكائنات اللي بتقوم بتحليل الكائنات اللي ماتت خلاص وترجع مكوناتها تاني للسويل، وبرضو بعد كده السويل ينمو فيها نبات أخذ نفس الانرجي اللي كانت موجودة في الديكومبوزرز وترجع دورة الحياة تانية. فإيه اللي بيحصل لو أنا شلت أي كومبوننت من الإيكو سيستم؟ أكيد هيحصل خلل كبير جدا. إيكو سيستم will be in balance، هيبقى مفيش توازن، هيبقى كل الحاجات دي معرضة للخطر إن هي خلاص تموت. تعالوا ندرس ده في تفاصيل أكتر. يلا بينا. So let's continue. The relation between component of ecosystem. Component of ecosystem, as we studied, producers and some animals and decomposers, living and non-living. Non-living like soil, air and water. So let's start with the relation between plants and soil. We know plants do a very important process called photosynthesis process. Plants depend on soil to absorb water, not just water, water and salts or minerals that are necessary to make their food. So plants can make their food and they depend on the soil to absorb water and minerals. Second relation, the relation between plants and animals. The relation between plants and animals that will appear with animals that depend on plant directly. So animals feed on plants to get food. Animals, all herbivorous animals, depend on plant directly to get food. Food for what? Food to get energy. بياخدوا طاقتهم أو بياخدوا الأكل بتاعهم من النبات علشان يحصلوا منه على الطاقة اللي يقدروا يعيشوا بيها. فكده في جزء من الليفينج أورجانيزم بيعتمد على النبات علشان يحصل منه على الطاقة بتاعته. The third relation, the relation among different animals. Some animals feed on another animals to get food and energy. So carnivorous animals depend on another animals to get food. So this is the relation between two animals. One of them devour another or something else. Environmental balance. So what is environmental balance? يعني إيه التوازن البيئي؟ Environmental balance means the existence of each component and the component, if it's living organism, existence of all living organism healthy. So environmental balance, in a definition, it is the balance among component of ecosystem. التوازن بين مكونات النظام البيئي. مفيش مكون منهم هيختفي، مفيش حاجة منهم هتقدر تاكل كل الكائن الحي التاني. مثلا لو في زي الافتراس اللي احنا قلنا عليه اللي هو predation، البريدتور مش هيخلص كل البريز ويبقى هم خلاص انقرضوا او ماتوا كلهم، لا، هيبقى في توازن، ده مزدهر وموجود وبصحة كويسة، وبرضه الكائن الحي التاني موجود وبصحة كويسة، والنباتات موجودة وكافية للكل، مفيش حاجة اختفت من النظام البيئي. ده اسمه توازن بيئي، environmental balance. بس في ممكن حاجات تحصل للenvironmental balance تعمل ايه؟ تخلي فيه حاجة اسمها imbalance. ايه الحاجات دي؟ أول حاجة natural change. The first thing natural change. Natural change in the nature condition in ecosystem causes the disturbance that leads to. Disturbance leads to what؟ الديستربنس ده أو الاضطراب اللي هيحصل ده بيؤدي لإيه في الآخر؟ بيؤدي في النهاية disappearance of some living organism. Disappearance of some living organism like dinosaurs. We don't see dinosaurs anymore. Why? Because they disappeared. Disappeared of what? Because of natural change. Natural change make a disturbance lead to extinction of dinosaurs. حصل تغير في البيئة، التغير ده عمل اضطراب في الايكو سيستم، عمل مشكلة في النظام البيئي، المشكلة دي أدت لاختفاء نوع. Disappearance of some living organism. B. Appearance of other living organism. C. Environmental imbalance. Imbalance, it is the opposite of balance. Imbalance يعني اختلال في التوازن البيئي. Balance يعني توازن. نكمل. Examples. In ancient eras, change in natural condition of environment leads to what? Leads to disappearance of dinosaurs causing their extinction. التغير اللي حصل في البيئة، التغير ده الديناصورز ما قدروش ان هم يتأقلموا معاه فكلهم ماتوا. ده ادى لايه؟ ادى ان حصل نوع من الايكو سيستم مكون اللي هو ممكن يكون هيربيفورس، في من الديناصورز هيربيفورس وفي منهم كارنيفورس. جزء منهم، جزء من النظام البيئي اكستنت، اختفى، فده اكيد disturbance او imbalance. طيب ايه اللي هيحصل لو حصل في النظام البيئي imbalance؟ هيفضل فترة معينة لغاية لما النظام البيئي يكون بالانس جديد، يعمل توازن من جديد زي التوازن اللي موجود حاليا بدون الديناصورات. Without dinosaurs there are balance now. That's why because the environment make balance after imbalance. After period of imbalance the environment create a new balance. So number 2 man interference. So man interference تدخل الإنسان في البيئة، ده ممكن يأثر عليها، ممكن يأثر على الإيكو سيستم ويعمل disturbance. So some human activities lead to disturbance of the environment. Like many things we do, many bad things we do as humans that make disturbance and maybe lead to extinction of some living organism. حاجات غلط احنا بنعملها المفروض ما نعملهاش خالص، الحاجات دي بتأثر على ايه؟ على النظام البيئي. طيب الحاجات دي هل هي natural؟ لا، دي بتدخل الإنسان، علشان كده بنسميها man interference، تدخل بشري. Examples of man interference: cutting down trees. Cutting down trees or removing forests. The forest, it is the shelter and the source of food of many living organisms. So when we move this shelter, the living organism will die. They can't find shelter or even food. مش هيلاقوا غذائهم، مش هيلاقوا المأوى اللي بيعيشوا فيه. هيقدروا يعيشوا ازاي واحنا شلنا كل الشجر اللي موجود او ازلنا كل الغابة؟ فده اسمه change and it is man interference. Number 2, polluting the environment. When we pollute environment, when we burn fossil fuels, when we throw garbage in rivers, that will make pollution. This pollution, animals can't live with this pollution, they will die because of it. So it is not natural, it is man-made, something man did this thing to the environment which make imbalance. Example number 3, eroding soil. Eroding soil means removing part of the soil, removing the upper part of the soil. لو شلنا الجزء من السويل اللي النبات اصلا بيعيش فيه، هيعرف يعيش ازاي؟ اكيد في نباتات كتيره مش هتعرف تتاقلم مع الوضع ده وهتموت، وبالتالي هيحصل اختلال. ليه؟ مفيش producer. There are no producer in the ecosystem. So herbivorous animal will die because they can't find their food. Also carnivorous animal will die. The environment will be imbalanced. So factor that keep environmental balance. factors affecting the environmental balance and keep the balance، حاجات بتحافظ أو عوامل بتحافظ على التوازن البيئي. The first one predation, second one saprophytism. So let's start with predation. predation في ناس كتيرة ممكن تفتكر إن predation علاقة ضارة، حاجة ممكن في predator devour prey، يعني لو هو مش موجود أفضل للprey، لكن بالعكس تماما، لا ده مش أفضل خالص. predator or predation it is useful and it keeps the balance. predation organizes number of preys، بينظم أعداد الpreys زي ما احنا شايفين في الصورة. If there were no predators in ecosystem, environmental balance will be disturbed and number of preys will increase and food and their shelter will not be enough for all of them, so they will die. Number 2, saprophytism. Saprophytism decomposers as bacteria and fungi help environment in getting rid of dead bodies and dead living organisms by decomposing them. Number 2, recycle. Recycling the chemical elements in the body to the environment again. So decomposers are very important also. They clean the planet and they recycle chemical elements. If there were no decomposers in ecosystem, that will cause disturbance. That's why the Earth's surface will be covered with dead bodies of dead living organisms. Chemical elements will not be recycled to the environment. We can benefit from decomposer in many industries. Also, as man, we use decomposer in many things. First one, food industry, in industry of cheese, bread, and also maybe alcohol. We use decomposer in making all of these things. And we use decomposer in making yogurt. So decomposer used in making cheese, bread, and yogurt. In drugs industry, in making some a very important thing called antibiotic. We use antibiotic a lot. Leather tanning industry, in making this product we use decomposers or saprophytic living organism. So this is the end of the lesson. So let's answer some questions. So let's answer some question on this lesson. Question number 1. Which of the following not from components of ecosystem? Animals, cars, plants, sorry. Animals, cars, plants. So cars, not one of the component of ecosystem. Ecosystem is any space, area, including living organism and non-living things. Natural, artificial, or deep area, it is natural area. So question number 3. The balance among components of ecosystem known as predation, environmental balance, or natural balance? Of course, it is, super, environmental balance. Number 4, which of the following from small ecosystems? Forest, sea, water bond. Water bond, it is the small ecosystem. Number 5, from decomposer organism, fungi, plants, or lions? Fungi, perfect. The last one, saprophytic organism, and we call them decomposers, space, the chemical elements with the ecosystem. So they do what? They save chemical element, keep chemical element, or recycle chemical element. They recycle chemical element. Perfect. So let's review what we studied on this lesson. So in this lesson, we studied environmental balance. Environmental balance, and we studied the different component of ecosystem. Ecosystem consists of living organism and non-living things. All of them are very important. Living organism, plants or producer, and herbivorous, carnivorous, even decomposers, all of them are useful and all of them are very good for the ecosystem, and without any one of them the ecosystem will collapse. النظام البيئي هينهار تماما. عاوزكم تذاكروا الدرس ده كويس جدا واشوفكم على خير.